Hello and welcome to Rage Quit. My name is Jay and today I want to talk about Warcry, surprise, and I want to talk about the non-chaos factions, and essentially this will boil down to the core of what Warcry is and what Warcry might become. Now that sounds grandiose, I appreciate that, and it's not intentionally supposed to be. But there's essentially a rumour going around. I say rumour, somebody's like, oh, this guy at this store said this. Take this with a massive pinch of salt. But Stormcast Eternals, the podcast, sort of semi-implies that the non-chaos factions are a bit of an afterthought, and the rumour is that the card packs that you can get may only be a one-print run and done. Now, before I go any further, the fear of missing out, FOMO, is a tactic that a lot of companies use and businesses and marketing and that kind of stuff. It could just simply be a case of they want you to have to buy these cards now so that they can sell them. You know, just keep that in mind. And that rumour is just a rumour. Nobody really knows how many editions the cards will get or how a second edition of Warcry might look. So there's a lot of salt to be taken with this conversation. However, getting to the core of what is Warcry is something I'm interested in. So we are going to talk about that. If though at the end of this video you like the video, press like. And if you are interested in Warcry and you're not subscribed yet, please do subscribe, as it really does help. So what am I even talking about? Let's back out a little bit. Warcry. It's sort of been billed as what Kill Team is to 40k. Warcry is supposed to be to Age of Sigmar. Maybe not necessarily the case, right? I think it's from the makers of DAOs, but it's sort of possibly seeming to be like a hybrid of Kill Team and Necromunda. So what do I mean by that? Kill Team allows you to use your existing 40k stuff, and Necromunda is set in the 40k universe, but it's completely different. You don't find Space Marines, I don't think you find Orcs or whatever they're called in 40k. Necromunda is sort of like its own thing, and it's the war bands are its own thing, etc. Warcry sort of seems to be a weird combination of the two. You have your Chaos factions. Of course, we've got the 6 Chaos factions released. Everybody knows about those. Well, I'm presuming you do if you're watching this video. And they are sort of like your Necromunda warbands. But then you've got the non-Chaos factions, which are a lot more like well, you can already use your Age of Sigmar miniatures. You can use them in Warcry. And the way you do that is you buy the cards, right? So just very quickly, for those of you who don't know what I mean, there's 9 non-Chaos factions. You can have a look at the Chaos factions up here if you want the specific new Chaos factions if you want to look at them. But on the website there's 9 non-Chaos factions. You know, if we want to look at the Nighthaunts, well, these are the models that are going to be used in Kill Team. And the way if you've got those models, you then buy these cards, which look a little bit more like this in the on an individual front. It's going to have everything you need to play as that specific faction. You buy 1 per faction, right? So yeah, this is just the website that shows you the same thing. That's how if you've got Age of Sigmar stuff, or you want to play as these specific warbands, that's how you do it. You buy these models, and then you buy those cards all together, and then you crack on, play, right? And you see what I mean? That's sort of then like the combination of Kill Team with Necromunda. It's like, well, what if we have a game that's both? Now, as I said, let's go back to the rumour. The rumour is that these cards here are only going to be a one and done kind of thing. So if you don't get them now, you may never get them. I don't want to cause panic or fear. Far from it. As I said, take that rumour with a pinch of salt. GW obviously not confirmed that. Well, the game's not even out yet. So for me to be talking about how it might not be published in the long run is a bit weird. But here we are. And I just want to talk about why that might be the case though. Warcry seems to be, as I said, a combination of the two, but it might, going forward, I suspect we might end up with a world in which really these factions are sort of like legacy, and then any new Chaos faction is the prime, essentially. And I think the whole story of the world is built around Chaos. However, so the theory is that Chaos factions are going to be the ones that we're going to get more of. We've already seen or heard of 2 factions that we're going to get, probably Chaos ones. They've got the names, but I can't remember the names. And these guys are the ones you can use. You've got AOS, right? Okay, I keep talking about that. But so if it just goes to Chaos, what happens to these guys? Do they fade out? Do they just never get another release? It's like, well, you missed your chance, you can't play as them. Or I think what might actually happen is I'm not with people. I don't think it'll just be that we only ever get chaos. I can't see in 6 months' time only having 2 chaos, like just chaos factions. I don't think that makes sense. I think the aesthetic, as different as these guys are, I think the aesthetic would possibly get a little bit boring. I am more of the idea that what we might actually get is other factions sets. So of course, I think like Skaven have actually been merged with Chaos now, but I could see a world in which we actually get a specific Legions of Nagash like themed box, a new faction perhaps that isn't actually Legions of Nagash, but Nagash's cronies or what have you. I could see the game actually going beyond Chaos, maybe even with a different starter set at some point, a little bit like akin to maybe like Arena, just like, hey, it's version 2, and it's oh look, now all the story, we're completely changing the story. No, it's not about these 8 points of whatever. It's about the skirmish for the Lord. I don't know, whatever. I'm not an RP lore kind of guy, but I can see a world in which the existing factions sort of get brought into new factions. Like if there was a Stormcast Eternals faction box, are people going to be as bothered about the old Stormcast Eternals on their own? Yes, if you have those models and you played those factions. And we also don't know how powerful they're going to be. I think that's going to be relevant. Like if these factions here, the 9 non-chaos factions, are pretty powerful, people are obviously going to want to buy them. Yeah, makes sense. If they're pretty terrible and the new factions are better, people might leave them off, unless you're like obviously a fluffy kind of player, which I don't understand, but there you have it. But yeah, I personally see a world in which the game itself changes. A little bit like a completely different expansion, except maybe in not a completely different area, but like they move the story on and these other factions get added. So yes, Skaven's an obvious one. I'm sure probably there's like other factions that could belong into Chaos, like Nurgle and all that kind of stuff, even though I think they spoke about how they don't really want to do that. But if the game does well with the 2 new Chaos factions and what we've already got, and people are buying their old factions, they're going to expand it beyond just Chaos. Like it doesn't really make any sense to limit themselves like that. And yeah, I think the game has potential to do really well going forward, and I think it's a bit unfortunate now that people, even myself, I'm panicking and thinking, do I just buy all 9 of those packs just so I've got them in the future? And the reality is, we don't know. And I think that is one of the classic Games Workshop perennial problems. You don't know how well a game is going to be supported, how many runs the game is getting. Like the Warcry core set, we don't know if it's a one and done. People have their opinions one way or another. I don't know if Game Workshop have come out and said, no, it's not a one and done. And obviously they can't, right? Because if they said, well, this product's a one and done and this one's not, you'd have too good of an idea what to buy and what not to buy. And they enjoy the idea of the fear of missing out. They want you to be hyped and pushed for Warcry, and they want you to buy as much as that you're happy buying. And yeah, in a sense, I don't blame them, but it's obviously not good if we're talking about these other 9 factions. It's like, do I do it now? Do I not? So I think, yes, it's a combination of Necromunda and Kill Team in terms of Age of Sigmar. It's also, some people are sort of expecting a little bit more than what we've got, right? Some people are like, oh, why can't I play these factions? Why can't I play these factions? Why can't I use these Stormcast Eternals? And don't get me wrong, I was not understanding why we can't use the main Stormcast Eternals guide, but that's mainly because I don't understand Age of Sigmar. But if you play Age of Sigmar and you've got models that you can't use, and you're obviously going to want to use them, the question is like, why? And the answer to that is sort of like, it's not Age of Sigmar Skirmish, is it? Like, Skirmish is meant to be the game that is Age of Sigmar, but just smaller, right? This is meant to be quite completely different. So you're not really supposed to have everything that Age of Sigmar had. But the problem here is with Games Workshop precedent, Kill Team sort of made it seem like, well, eventually almost everything will get rules. And we don't necessarily know if that's going to be the case for Warcry. And if you've got like some dwarfs, or I don't know, whatever faction isn't represented here, if you've got some of those factions, there's no guarantee you're actually going to be able to ever use them here in Warcry. And maybe you want to, but maybe that'll never happen because of the story. So I think like it depends who you are. If you're somebody who doesn't have any of the models for me, the only concern for me is whether or not I should buy those packs now or not. If you're somebody who already owns your Age of Sigmar army that's not here, you might be like, but I want in on Warcry. It sounds cool. It looks cool. And I think for you guys, I'd maybe just recommend buying one of the new faction starter sets. Yeah, so it's tricky, but I think we're heading towards a Necromunda-esque version of this game. But I don't think it will remain Chaos only. As weird as that sounds, I feel like they'll do specific scatter warbands that are sort of like normal humans coming in doing this. That could be completely wrong. It's too early to say, and I can appreciate people getting frustrated because they don't know, and we don't know, and that's the end of it. So I've rambled there for 10 minutes. It's boiling in the UK. My hair's sweaty, I'm sweaty. My main points were basically these 9 non-chaos factions, they could be a one and done kind of thing. And if that's important to you and you're like, oh, well, I was considering maybe getting them in a year's time, maybe just pick up the cards now. They're only £5. But if you bought them all, what is that? It's like 45 quid. It's not an impulse buy, is it? So I don't mean to extend the fear of missing out feeling, but it's just something I think you ought to be aware if you think it's relevant to you. That's it. And it's not Age of Sigmar Mini, it's Warcry, and Warcry's its own thing. Have a beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.